I'm Stavros Halkias, and this is my last meal.
Every person has exactly two things in common. We all gotta eat and we're all gonna die. Today's guest is a stand-up comedian, podcaster, and movie star who's coming to a town near you on his dreamboat tour. He's so quintessentially Baltimore that he once threw a stand-up comedy show where a comedian got stabbed with a crab. Stavros Halkias, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, Josh? Thanks for having me. That is true. I did. I was hosting an open mic at Jimmy's Seafood where a man named Ice Pick Rick stabbed a suburban Baltimore mailman with a crab shell.
With a name like Ice Pick Rick, because that could be an ironic nickname where he's never stabbed somebody with an ice pick.
Didn't feel ironic. If you knew this guy, did not feel like a big put-on joke to contrast his gentle nature.
That's not even the most Baltimore part of the story. The most Baltimore part of the story is that you returned to Jimmy's Seafood to shoot the official Baltimore Ravens schedule release video.
That's right.
Last year.
I can't quit Jimmy's. That was wild. The Ravens just asked me to be a part of it. And dream come true, obviously. I love the Ravens so much. And yeah, I got to eat a huge lobster. I got to eat a bunch of stuff that didn't make it. I guess what we're learning today, and with what you just brought up, is you give me hundreds of dollars worth of food for free, I'm there. Baltimore schedule release, last meals, whatever it is.
I was gonna ask if you'd thought about your last meal before, or if all this was sort of a revelation to you.
As a man who loves to eat, I've often considered what might my last meal be. And this was nice because I kind of approached it as like, let's take something from every part of my life, like what foods were very, meant something to me at literally starting from like age 5 to currently some of my favorites. So it's nice. It's almost like if I'm about to die, I want to relive every type of little fat guy I ever was.
That is kind of like my own worldview too, though. It's like that's how I always say food is just a lens through which I view the world, and that's kind of how I experience it. Have you thought about death a lot before?
I'm 36, so is it halfway gone? Let's be honest. These haven't been an easy 36, Josh. I'm not doing the kind of lat pull downs you are. You know what I mean? So
I've seen you do the lat pull downs on Stop Against Rip, man. I'm just saying. Yes, you are.
I'm trying. Like everything else, I'm trying to procrastinate not dying. I'm trying to all right, let's start working out before it gets too bleak.
Stavi, for course number 1 of your final meal on this earth, we have the Galacto Burrico.
That's right.
We have the Yoo-hoo. We got the fried calamari. We have the grilled lamb chops, a little bit of lemon potatoes, and I do have one more surprise because we have to complete the holy trinity of the Hellenic surf and turf from Ikaros restaurant.
Wow!
We got the Baltimore crab cakes.
Holy shit!
On the table.
Wow! I thought it was too much to also ask for crab cakes all the way across the country. No way. These look good too. Did you guys make these?
The actual story behind these. So normally we have a fantastic culinary production crew. I was watching something you did where you mentioned Ikaros restaurant and your mother being a waitress there.
Yep.
I'm on their Yelp page.
Wow.
And I saw their Hellenic surf and turf and I was like, what an insane point in time and place.
So my mom was the waitress, and if we were lucky, she'd come home with whatever leftover calamari was there. But the thing you wanted was a surf and turf. Like when you were good, when you had like good grades, you'd get a surf and turf.
Yeah.
This is actually
most kids
insane.
got ice cream growing up. We got the lamb and the calamari.
Dude, for real, one of my first baby videos, I have one top tooth and one bottom tooth. I am not even a year old. I am eating a lamb chop off the bone.
Incredible.
Like I'm just like a little typewriter, and then reshifting. Even this was hard. While they were setting this up, I felt like a dog. Like those videos where they show how well their dog is trained. Like I felt like, come on. You really got to set the cameras up. Let me at it. So
hey, you can go at it.
I'm in it now,
please
dude.
jump in, man. I'll follow you where you go.
Oh yeah, you want to get the one with the little bone, the dip immediately.
This is sick, dude. On there.
Get some tzatziki.
Yogurt marinade on the lamb chop.
Very well cooked. Look at that. Look at that. You guys know what you're doing around here.
You ever think about it? You'd be the perfect intermediary between like My Big Fat Greek Wedding and The Wire season 2 crossover.
Yeah. Filmed in Ikaros.
Filmed it, really?
A lot of the back room of Ikaros is where they filmed a lot of like the Greek meeting.
Wait, in The Wire or in My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Not my Big Fat Greek Wedding. Shout out to Nia Vardalos. These are good. I was skeptical because they're little, but they're fresh. This is insane for me because I would have this. Sometimes I think back to how much this meal shaped my life because my mom worked late. They're weekends, and I'm a little kid who should not be up. And I would watch SNL. And so it was like this kind of beginning of what my life ended up, where it's like watching comedy. Now I'll do comedy late into the night. eat fried foods and wait for hopefully get the affection of a woman. Like that's what all my Saturday nights have turned into, and I'm like, wow, that set the entire blueprint for my life. So
But like,
right now I'm kind of nostalgic.
How central of a role did food play in your life from such a young age? Do you have like an earliest food memory?
Something that didn't make the cut was one of my favorite, I'm just going in with my hands. One of my favorite things, just a big Hebrew National hot dog. That was a go-to lunch when I'm like 5. Coming back from school, being like, yeah, Ma, I think I'm not going to eat whatever bullshit vegetables you made. Fire up a big hot dog for me. That's what I called them, a big hot dog, because the Hebrew Nationals were the
big
Costco.
Quarter Pounders.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. There's so many snapshots from, especially your early life, that like show your relationship with food. One of them is the Greek lady dealing bootleg pastries in your elementary school.
Yeah, Miss Sophia.
Miss Sophia.
Miss Sophia kind of destined me to a life of being a little fat boy, because my mom would send me with milk money. So there was a little table where whoever didn't want their milk just let it out, and you could have some. And when I realized, like, oh, I can get milk for free and then get a cupcake from Miss Sophia, I would get 3 pastries for the price of 1 milk. And so I just had a 3 pastries problem. Like, I started the second I could buy food, I was eating 3 pastries a day. That's how you bulk up as a 3rd grader. You know what I mean? That's how.
I think one of the most interesting things you said is when you were talking about this idea of every culture kind of being roughly the same. Every culture loves food too much. They argue too much. Their family guilts them. They're loud. They party. The only culture that doesn't fit that is like sort of the white American wasps, culture. And so, I don't know, it's easy to look over the hill and say the grass is greener, but does part of you like really value that level of community that you grew up with? Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
I think that's the unifying strength, is like, everyone is the same. Well, who are we kidding? What you're serving might be different, but everyone's late to the meal. Like, no one's punctual. Everyone's a loudmouth. You know, we love food. It's like, yeah, everybody loves food. Yeah. Everyone's late. Like, I don't want buttoned-up investment bankers in my family. I want a guy who's running a restaurant illegally. Yeah. I want a guy who has the best food and no permits. And just, like, that's who I want in my life, you know? So
you tried to sort of be a normie on that corporate hamster wheel, though. You had an incredible 6-month stint as a paralegal. Where you really did a lot of great work for that law firm.
Pretty quickly, I'm realizing they're, like, doing foreclosure law firm. And I was like, I can't be a part of this. So I just stopped working, like, 2 months in. And it took them, like, 8 months to fire me. It took them, like 7 months to fire me. Because they were so buttoned up. Because they were so, we have to go about the book. I was taking 2-hour lunches. I lost my like badge to swipe in 2 days into the job. I was just trying to time other people's entrances into the building. I would get there and I would just be like, all right, she's going. And then I would get out of my car and like kind of walk fast and try and sneak in. And they like when they fired me, it was so funny because they had like a highlight reel of everything I did wrong. They were like, and this is how what a piece of shit company was. They got everyone in trouble who I snuck in, like, they, like, had a record, and then they showed me how little work I did they had, like, graphs, and they showed me how little work I did compared to everyone.
You're like, yeah, I know, man.
And I was like, I know. I was like, I'm shocked.
I've been living the graph.
I'm like, I cannot believe this took this long. Because I was fun. That's the thing. You can get away with anything if you're fun, 100%. Right? So I was my boss had talks with me multiple times where she was, like, nervous, and she was just begging me to do work, and I was like, I'll do what I can. You know, it's like, because I was already I was on house money. And I kind of wish I hadn't gotten successful because I would have been a great corporate grifter. Oh my God. I would have been so good at stealing money from companies. You would have been CEO of PepsiCo by now. Yeah, without question. I'd be, dude, golden parachutes. I just tanked another company. I just got $20 million somehow. I would have been so good at stealing money from corporations, but alas, I'll just have to settle for a career in the thing I've loved the most since I was a child.
Sucks. Dig into the Galactoburico.
Yes, it's dessert time, sorry. Yeah, Galactoburico the best. This is my childhood right here. And then a Yoo-hoo. Because let's not pretend that everything was home-cooked, delicious meal. There was a lot of processed shit that I was...
What's processed about Yoo-hoo chocolate drink? Sabi, it's a good source of vitamins. It's right there. Sabi, for course number 2 of your final meal, we have the Toro Sushi. This is the fatty tuna belly. And then we have the Karbi Korean barbecue. We have the live setup, a little bit of perilla leaf and lettuce for the bosom. We have the samjang, the gochujang, the sesame oil, a little bit of rice on the side. And then, of course, all of the banchan, the kimchi fish cake, radish kimchi, potato salad, a Dr. Brown's cream soda, 0 sugar.
That's right.
It's healthy. This is protein.
This is protein, bro. Yeah. This is the adult region of the final meal because I've become a diet soda freak. And this might be the best. I'm a zero sugar root beer guy, but this might be the best one. Cheers, bro. And so, I like a wild cherry Pepsi. I like an A&W root beer. I like all the, I like a classic. Although I've become a Coke Zero guy over Diet Coke in recent years.
Tastes slightly less like poison.
Yeah, I didn't know any cuisine. I didn't have tacos until I went to college. Like, it was Greek food, Papa John's. That's the only thing I ever knew. So, college is where I actually, I had ramen for the first time when I was 20. And I was like, when my friend wanted me to go to a ramen restaurant, I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
That's the shitty soup you drink when you're sick. You know what I mean? That's the, And to this day, I still think if I have kids, they're not allowed to know what real ramen is until they're adults. Because that's a big differentiator.
Dig into the Torah. We got to eat this to fuel us the rest of the journey.
Please.
I'll get in hands on it.
Oh, hands. Respect, dude.
Hands.
We're friends.
Kaliorexi.
Kaliorexi. There we go. Good pronunciation.
Sasaf Charisto.
Ooh.
How often do you think about the meeting between Achilles and Odysseus in Hades?
Dude.
Where Achilles says, I would rather be a poor housekeeper above ground than king of kings among the dead.
That is nuts that you asked me this.
Real quick?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's this is the thing I do best is dealing with mortality and grilling meats at the same time.
They're one and the same, really.
There's the Iliad and the Odyssey, the two great Greek epics. And Achilles is the man in the Iliad, right? He's just the first superhero. No one can mess with him at all. He could kill everybody if he wanted to. He has pride, whatever. Also gay, which is really fun. Yeah, the first ever superhero.
Was he gay or is he just having sex with dudes?
Yeah, that's a great. That's a very ancient Greek way to put that.
Absolutely.
I think the only way to get attention back then was be a sick warrior. I think if RuPaul's Drag Race was around, Achilles would have been the greatest drag queen of all time because he was sassy. It was like watching two drag queens go back and forth. They're kind of cutting each other down.
Yeah, they're reading each other to filth.
Yeah, it's totally reading to filth. He's still the guy, right? He's the best, and all he cared about was glory.
Yeah.
And Odysseus, in part, he has to go into the underworld in part of the Odyssey, and one of the people he sees friends of his that died, and Achilles, this guy who. All he wanted was to be known as the greatest warrior, and was, right? He died, but he was known as the greatest warrior. He got his wish. Yeah. He's telling Odysseus how much he regrets it, and how much he would have traded it all to just have a simple, like you said, simple farmer's life. And obviously, I'm not thinking I'm ever being known the greatest anything of all time, but that to me is just so emblematic of having these goals that get in the way of actually being a human being, or caring about whatever it is, success, money. I think we have a big problem with overrating money instead of quality of life in this country.
Yeah.
And I think to me, I definitely had the last couple of years of my career where I was just whatever opportunity I got, I just said yes. And it ruined me. That quote is just the classic on your deathbed, was it all worth it quote. And this is beyond his deathbed. This isn't even he found some peace in the afterlife. This man for eternity is I fucked up so bad. That's his whole thing is why was I so cool?
That didn't make it into the movie Troy.
No.
Sexy Brad Pitt was just You look at a lot of comedians, especially comedians who are known for being fat. Chris Farley, John Belushi, John Candy, all going out.
Not a good life expectancy.
No, certainly.
You don't want to be on those actuarial tables. No. You don't want to try and get insured as a fat comedian over 30.
Yeah, for real though. How do you balance that?
It's just that, man, where I'm I've been sticking with my workouts, actually. I've been lifting and stuff like that. I think it kind of snapped into play kind of this year just because I was so unhealthy. And I was oh, yeah, kind of that thought. Where it's by some metrics, I'm overdue. I'm older than Farley Blue, you know what I mean? So it's even this tour, it's we go, and please buy tickets to the Dreamboat Tour, out now. We go pretty hard, but then there's a really long break, and we'll probably pick it up in the fall. And I'm trying not to overdo it as much.
There's a moment in your movie, Let's Start a Cult, where you're sprinting towards the clown, the ex-cult leader, kick the shit out of him. And the physical comedy in it is so good. And I'm literally watching you do this, and it's this kind of is Farley incarnate in a lot of ways. You really embodied Chris Farley in a lot of ways.
I mean, that's a huge compliment I can't even accept. But
I understand why.
I appreciate it. At my best, I'd love to be able to someday get that kind of level going. I mean, that's one thing I love about movies. You get to be funny in different ways.
Yeah.
I came up to do stand-up, and it's all write your jokes, say it. And then you also learn, like, damn, this shit's hard. Like, even your guys' show is like, there's 4 guys. There's like 4 people and then 4 cameras. Like, there's 8 more people. I went to the bathroom. There's a full kitchen. My podcast is me and my dumb friend who constantly gets things wrong.
We talked about like the feeling of food and comfort. And I know you've talked about food being the addiction that's like the hardest to overcome. I can't exactly like 100% empathize, but I was like 290 pounds when I was like 13, 14 years old. The points where I reach to food for comfort are in like points of extreme loneliness. And even we did our first tour ever where we just, 10 cities in 17 days, like rookie numbers. But I never felt that feeling where you have people screaming for you on stage.
Yeah.
Then suddenly you're off a bus into a hotel room or just in the bus cabin in the little coffin by yourself.
Yeah.
And suddenly it was just this vacuum feeling of loneliness. Does any part of that make tour especially difficult to like stay on track with a diet?
Unfortunately, touring, you have access to every vice imaginable.
Yes.
And I don't have great self-control.
But you could probably have that in your hometown too if you wanted to. But I think there's something different about, it's like a liminal space being on tour.
People know you're only there for one night. They want to party with you. They want, like, everyone's putting their best foot forward when you're there on tour. But that's what it is. It's like everything's available to you. You're lonelier than you ever were. As much as I don't want to end up lonely, and I've definitely battled that in the past, and like right now I want to get the ratio right, where it's like I was working way too hard. And yes, someday I'm not one of these people that say, I don't know what I'd do if I was retired. I hate working. I love my job. I got lucky as shit, dude. But even that, it's still work.
Sally, for course number 3, we have the Popeyes fried all dark meat chicken.
Yes, sir.
White meat, that's for losers.
Thank you.
And then we have the seaside fried shrimp and fries basket, coleslaw, ranch, tartar, cocktail, all the sauces you could ever want.
The classics.
And the brisk iced tea.
The brisk iced tea. God. My dad always had these. Oh my God, I haven't had one in years. This is so sweet. God. My dad always had these on deck at his wood shop. Sometimes I would get, he would babysit us at his wood shop, and I would crush brisk. Popeyes, there's a Popeyes between, my mom would kind of drop us off at a public library and like do her errands and stuff. And there was a Popeyes between our house and the library, and if we were good, we got Popeyes. So it's like, for real, Popeyes like helped me learn how to read. Because it was like, again, the food motivation in my life is so extraordinary. And so Popeyes will always hold us. This is very much childhood right here. This is just Popeyes and brisk combo. This is what I graduated to after the Greek food.
Yeah.
This is me at like 10 and 11 just crushing brisks and Popeyes.
Jesus.
Oh, man. That's so good.
You said that you wanted to be in a movie about fat camp. I imagine both of us grew up watching Heavyweights at least like 6-7 times a year.
Classic. Heavyweights so good.
Do you have a dream cast for your fat camp movie?
Maybe Jonah Hill now has to be the evil owner of the other camp because he betrayed us and lost weight. But he's a fat boy legend for sure. My boy Caleb's hilarious. Jamel Johnson. Caleb Heron.
Unreal, yeah.
It's funny to just be like, well, I'm complimenting these people, but also calling them fat at the same time.
Like, for real though, like, do you view
Grace Kudelschmidt's hilarious.
Do you view it as like an insult? Because I feel like within the body positive movement, right, it's supposed to be like relatively neutral on the term, but also, you know, there's a reason people wax between like plus size and fat.
Yeah. I don't for myself, but so you know, everybody's thing is like personal. Sure. You don't want to just be like, they're great.
What about the seaside fried shrimp and fries? Because this is...
I kind of base this around positive memories I had. And this is like... Oh, it was so good. I was in kind of a rocky relationship but we just had one of the best days. And we don't talk anymore. But that doesn't mean you can't enjoy the good thing. You know what I mean? You can't remember, like, that was maybe one of the best days of my life where you just, like, get a huge pile of some shitty seaside... Like, this is such better quality than whatever we got. Like a Malibu, seaside thing. We got this on the beach. Then we did get Korean barbecue. And we might have gotten the dessert we're ending with, too. Like, I think I kind of recreated that from that day.
Relive that day.
I'm going to try and kiss you at the end of this.
I might be receptive to it, man. We talk about food and comfort, Trying to relive that day, though. Do you think if you were able to live that day multiple times, it would have sort of lost its luster.
No.
This is Odysseus on the island of Calypso, man. Wait, hold on.
Okay, all right.
Right, Odysseus on the island with Calypso, where he's sort of tempted with this idea of like, hey, you can live paradise every day, and then he realizes paradise every day is no longer paradise. Like, there's a reason he left that island to seek greater fulfillment.
Now, Odysseus, you could argue, had to get back to his wife, his home. He was the king of an island. I don't really have shit. So if you came to me and you said you could relive paradise every day, I think I'd take that. Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't have anything.
Odysseus had some shit, man. He was like, I want to stay on the island, asshole.
Yeah. I would have been there for sure. Sign me up. That part of the book actually, like, as a kid, I was like, sounds sick.
You've said that you don't really like to do a lot of political material. You'd rather go up there and like tell dick jokes. Is that because you don't want to talk about it, or because everything just seems sort of like futile and doesn't actually help?
I think it's just that that's not my job, is really what it comes down to. Now, does it get harder and harder to not at least hint at some politics? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think. And I think my second special had a little more politics than the first one. I think this next one will have, and not even politics, but just like basic life ideologies that I think filter in. But at the end of the day, we are we're clowns on the like spectrum of like a street mime and like a philosopher with a accredited degree in published literature. We're here. Yeah. And here's where the philosopher is, here's where the clown is, right? The guy making balloon animals. And I think like that's what bothers me when and I've experienced it because, dude, you do a sold-out 3,000-seat theater. I'm not even an arena act, right? Like, some of these guys are arena acts. Yeah. You have 10,000 to 20,000 people, like, screaming, cheering you on. You'd think you were a genius, too. Mm-hmm. It just completely messes with your brain where you're like, I'm Julius Caesar. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a genius that needs to be listened to. Yeah. But that's not true fundamental, in my opinion, right? Like, there's a real danger to thinking you're too important, in my opinion. And I think this idea that we are important is nuts. Like, yeah. I think we can be, but I think it almost has to be accidental. Like, my job is to be entertaining, not tell you how to think, you know?
You made a movie about someone starting a cult. I feel like it'd be pretty easy for a comedian to transition to that cult leader. I think you might be seeing that a little bit now, you know, with people having these big microphones. Do you think there's something uniquely suited about comedians to, like, lead these cult-like movements?
We were the lowest rung of show business, and the people who have found us really, if you like us, you have to really like us. Yeah. And then you'll follow someone. If you'll listen to them talk for 2 hours about nothing, you'll do whatever they say. You know what I mean? When they start trying, you'll be like, that's my guy. That's my
sounds
thought
like a cult leader to me, man.
Yeah, I could do it. I think I could do it.
Why not do it?
I don't know.
I'll follow you, man.
I have to find a compound.
Yeah.
There's the Cruisillo, and then it's like, what side of the country? What's the weather going to be like?
That's a good point.
It's just a lot of little stuff, you know. But the actual cult leading, I could do no problem. It's the logistics around it.
But like, part of me, I don't know, thinks that after this is all over, and this will be all over one day, that I can just like teach in a public school and mentor young children, try and fix, you know, the school lunch program's the one thing I want to do. Do you like have those dreams of like returning back and, I don't know, actively trying to do some work?
I think being exposed to performing arts when I was very young was really helpful for me, even in ways that I don't realize now. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence that I channeled my efforts into that. And so I'd love starting small with where I went to school and all that kind of stuff. But because I was very lucky, my mom went above and beyond, but she had a full-time job and she drove me cross town to like a slightly better school. And that's too much to ask for a lot of parents. And I think if you can provide some support for kids that are struggling, you should, you know. That's a theoretical good. I don't want any credit for having a thought about what I might do in 20 years. So don't say I'm a good guy. But, you know, I do think about it.
Stavi, for the final course of your final meal on this earth, we have simply the bread pudding a la mode.
Bread pudding, I don't know why, but bread pudding just, maybe it is the fact that it's not as decadent and every part of my life is marked by decadence, but the first time I ever got it was like I wanted something else. I was at this bakery, and every time you're visiting New York, you're like, New York's magic. And I went to some place where somebody told me about some pastry, and I got there late and they didn't have it. And then they were like, well, we also, our other specials, you know, bread pudding a la mode. And I was like, I guess. And ever since then, I've been seeking them out, and it is my favorite dessert. Yeah. Ice cream's great,
It really is just wet, soaked bread.
It's just bread. It's like
which is great.
It's kind of peasant-y. Mm-hmm. Like this does feel like the kind of thing a peasant came up with stale bread and raisins allured throughout his window.
Literally, yeah. I mean, I'm sure it is.
But it's so good.
You're the oldest, but also like the smartest child, with all due respect to the Halkias brothers.
Sure.
But you've talked about this and having like the pressure from your parents to sort of like be the savior in a certain way. And I imagine a lot of that was self-imposed. But how did that play into your decision to become a stand-up comic and leave the high-flying world of paralegalism?
Yeah. I definitely felt the pressure to get rich to save my family, basically.
Yeah.
But I always thought that was through a regular job. I was on scholarship. I did all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But I started stand-up at 19, and my dad always kind of blamed us as being like, we forced him into a life of obligation.
Like implicitly or explicitly? He just said that to your face?
Fully, explicitly.
Okay.
Like during the Greek financial crisis, he's like, we should have stayed in Greece. It's like, people are boiling shoes for dinner. What are you talking about? We should have stayed in Greece.
So much of like Greek literature and the classics, it's about duty and legacy. Mm-hmm. What do you want your legacy and your relationship to duty to be by the time you die?
In terms of, I feel some artistic duty to like make good stuff. I definitely want to make one. I'm not happy with this. I like my specials. I think they're very good. Go check them out. Fat Rascal on Netflix, Live at the Lodge Room on YouTube. But I'm not satisfied, and I want to keep growing as an artist. And because I do love stand-up, I think I have a duty to like try my absolute hardest to make something great. But then after that, whatever.
Yeah.
Just live a good, fun life.
From somebody who does toe this line of just being like an absolute dude bro homie who you can eat Korean barbecue and drink beers with, I think it is like a really special balance that
Thanks, man.
you walk, and I really love that.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
What do you think happens when you die?
I'm kind of in camp nothing. I'm kind of in camp like nothing or something we can't comprehend at all.
Yeah.
Like to even talk about it would be like ants trying to sing opera. You know what I mean? Like we can't. If it's something afterwards, our dumb little brain, our human brains can't. We're so ethereal that it might as well be nothing, is what I think. But again, I don't know shit.
I only take solace in the fact that I'm hoping the DMT release as you're about to die means I'm just like perennially eating Korean barbecue.
That would be nice.
Inception state.
That would be nice.
It's gonna be great.
Hell yeah, dude. Sign me up.
You ready to go on the lightning round?
Let's do it.
Savi, who's the one person, dead or alive, you'd want to share your actual last meal with?
I think I would go Martin Scorsese. I've been getting into movies. He's the man. He makes my favorite. And just so much. Was an animal. Was a complete piece of shit. Cokehead, whatever. Made the best movies. Now he's like a sweet grandpa dad. Like, he's kind of lived. He's made incredible stuff and kind of, his wholesome TikToks with his daughter. Mm-hmm. He made Taxi Driver and then like, what does my dad think my makeup is? You know what I mean? He's capable of that range, dude. Yeah. I'd love to be that guy at some point.
What song do you want played at your funeral?
Big Pimpin'.
Who's your dream eulogizer at your funeral?
I guess I'd like for it to be somebody I don't even know yet. Mm. I guess I'd like it to be like a nephew, a kid. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be... First of all, I want to outlive my friends because that's going to piss them off.
Sure.
The fattest, unhealthiest one of us lives the longest. That would be funny. And then I would like it to be one of their children that loves me more than them. This is an ultimate spite. Maybe one of them is back there listening right now.
What percentage of blame do you give Lamar Jackson for Mark Andrews' 2-point conversion drop? I'm sorry, it's written on the card. For Mark Andrews' 2-point conversion drop in the divisional round against the Bills.
Do I give Lamar?
Yeah, what percentage do you give Lamar?
0.
0?
0.
Not even like 10. It was short-armed a little bit.
Lamar didn't have the best game, but we could have won that one.
What's your biggest fear?
I don't care, man. You pissed me off thinking about the Ravens now.
What's your?
I'm never seeing another Ravens Super Bowl in my lifetime.
You predicted the Ravens-Eagles score to be 100-0 at Jimmy's Seafood. Do you remember the actual score?
I don't, and we don't have to go over it right now.
24-9 Go Birds. Finally, Stavy, are you happy?
I am happy, yeah.
You seem happy, man. That's awesome.
Thank you, dude.
I can't thank you enough for being
Thanks
here.
for having me.
If you want to look in that camera right there and deliver your final words.
My final words that I'll definitely say on my deathbed: buy tickets to the Dreamboat tour.
We can keep that audio and just sub in whatever tour is happening.
Sure. Yeah. Just add it in every time.
For real, man. This is an incredible time.
Thanks, dude.
I love what you do. And I love you guys out there. Thanks so much for subscribing to Mythical Kitchen. click the bell, leave a comment. I'm so full. I'm hooked.
I'm done for the rest of the day. I'm canceling whatever I have tomorrow.
You know, shotgun some Diet Red Bulls and think it'll get us right.
No, I'm going right to the nap zone.
We've got a double feature just for you. Watch Survive the Mythical Kitchen and Good Mythical Evening on demand now at mythicalkitchenlive.com.